Now I'll try to explain the concept of class and socioeconomic resources. Generally speaking, these two concepts are closely related with each other because the concept of class heavily relies on socioeconomic resources of a community, of a group of people, or of certain individuals which make a class. So, class may be seen as a kind of uh, division in the society based on their economic, political, and social resources. We'll look into some kind of detail about these concepts in this module. In order to understand this, I'll just try to explain a couple of surveys in front of you which were conducted in United Kingdom in year 2011. BBC conducted a survey which is generally called Great British Class Survey, and in this survey and in another survey which was of similar nature conducted by another company which may be called as GFK. This company also included some kind of uh, relatively less number of participants as compared to BBC survey, but the results were quite similar. This survey included only 1026 participants, and but this was quite similar to the findings of BBC survey, which was larger and more reflective of the British society. In these surveys, they identified 7 categories of classes in British society, and these classes were based on various income groups, or also based on various sources from which these incomes come. If you just look at the list of these categories, these include elite, which is obviously the highest stratum of the society, then established middle class, which has been in the zone of middle class for a longer period of time, and they regularly earn a handsome amount, which obviously is lesser than the one which is earned by elite, but it is still better than many in the society. Then we have technical middle class, which earn their sources from some technical jobs, or from some certain kinds of jobs. Then new affluent workers who have earned some money and saved it and are living a reasonably good job. Then we also have traditional working class, emergent service workers, and precariat, which consist of those people who are not very secure about their jobs. If you just look at this chart, it probably explains this division based on class in a detailed manner. You can see that according to these surveys, which were then later on compiled by the researchers, especially Savage, they came to the conclusion that elite constitute the 22% of British society. But according to GFK survey, which was different from the British BBC survey, it constituted only 6% of British society. And this includes high level system managers, financial high tech personals, organizational lawyers, doctors, dentists. They are usually considered to be the influent people in British society. And they have a very high economic capital, especially their savings, high social capital. They are respected very highly in the society, and through which they get more connections, and through those connections they get more money also. And they also have very high pro cultural capital. That means their norms and values are usually esteemed in the society. Then we have established middle class, which consists usually electrical engineers, occupational therapists, town planners, etc. And they also have some kind of high economic capital. Then we have technical middle class, which consists of pilots, pharmacists, higher education teachers, and they also have high economic capital and very high mean score on social contacts. They're very good in interacting with people, and that interaction obviously earns them more money. Then we have new affluent workers, which consist of electricians, plumbers, sales, and retail assistants, and they have relatively moderate good economic capital. Then traditional working class, these are secretaries, van drivers, cleaners, car workers, or care workers, and they also have moderately poor economic capital. Then we have emergent service workers such like bar staff, nursing, auxiliaries, assemblers, and routine operatives, and they have moderately poor economic capital also. In the end are the precariats, which consist of those people who are not very secure jobs. They include cleaners, van drivers, and certain types of care workers, and they definitely have some poor economic capital. So, since we all know that Great Britain is relatively a rich society as compared to the other societies in the world, so you probably would have very little people living in the lower stratum of the society. There are many in numbers, but as far as the average of those are concerned, they would be very few as compared to other parts of the world. And this is very obvious from this chart also. The model of class which has been developed in based on these studies and also in other studies have largely been influenced by the French scholar Bourdieu, because Bourdieu is the one who has been very vocal about the divisions in a society based on socioeconomic classes, and he has given various terminologies also. Since 1960s, his philosophy in relation to class has been very popular. And the terms he introduced, one of among the most common terms which have been influential in this sphere are those related to fields. Fields can be defined as some kind of arenas of social practices constituted and shaped by particular ways of thinking and acting, and this is related to your economic situation in the society. And the most important and the most popular term you can say in this regard, which comes from Bourdieu to us, is the symbolic capital. And according to Bourdieu, this symbolic capital may be in shape of your social popularity, your habitus, or your cultural advantages. They also can be converted into some kind of economic capital. And that's why they are closely interlinked. And that's why these concepts are always a part of any theory which is related to class division in a society. I'll further quickly wrap up some five general categories which make a model based on class, and especially they have been a part of Savage's model, which I referred to in previous slides. In these five categories, we have economic resources coming on the top, because that's what define kind of class in a society at first place. The symbolic capital, social, cultural capitals, they come obviously later. They are important, very important, but clear-cut economic resources is something which defines a class more appropriately than any other things. And there can be no question probably that this can be deducted from any theory which talks about division of class in a society. In economic resources, we have property, including land, housing, and it also includes various kinds of possessions, including electronic goods, clothing, books, arts, and maybe jewelry also, which is very popular in Asian societies. And then it includes income in terms of salary, wages, accumulated wealth, which may be come to you through some kind of inheritance or any other source. Then another resource which is very important to define class is sociocultural resources. How how affluent you are in your sociocultural resources, how well equipped are you in your mannerism, in your social connections. This includes your occupation, the kind of labor, the work you do. You may be a businessman or a skilled labor, or working in a high profile office, your education, your technical know how to work with the latest technology. And this has turned out to be a very important indicator of a class in the contemporary world, because knowing latest gadgets, possessing them, is also a kind of marker for social class these days. Then we have social context and networking, societal and community status and prestige. They are all interlinked. Another important thing is your behavior and your consumption patterns, how you consume your money, how you spend it, and what you buy from it, what brands you follow, what kind of clothing patterns, what kind of symbolic behavior, your body movements, your pastimes. Do you do any sports? You go to a gym or not? If you do any sports, what kind of sports you do? You do golfing or you do any ordinary street sports? They all reflect a class in a society. Then life conditions, your political life, quality of life, type of neighborhood where you live, how big your house is, they all matter and they define a class. Then your spatial conditions also matter, how mobile you are in your life, which areas of the world you have traveled to, what are your traveling plans in the future, they all matter. Then dimensions and size of space you occupy, layout of dwelling, your place of work, where you work or where you live, they all matter. Then also the type of your house, how big is it, how who has designed it, and all these matters. They're concerned, and they reflect on your class in a society. Uh, but in the end, just to sum up, I would say though all these indicators reflect on class in a society, but these are not absolute indicators. Or a class may not be an absolute unitary concept in any society of the world. A class is always relative in various societies. Maybe the standards of elite would vary from society to society. It also depends on the overall economic health of a society. But simultaneously, class is also influenced by other concepts in a society. For example, the concepts of race, color, uh, gender, ethnicity, sexuality, religion, age, and your ability or disability, they all matter in defining a class. So, class cannot be seen as an absolute economic concept. Rather, if we want to conduct any research on it, we need to see that it is also influenced by other socioeconomic factors also.